Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I've got a balanced rack, no duplicates, a long way from a bingo. I can play whiz. That's my first thought, but is there a better play? I would need an A for topaz. I can't see a way of getting the Z doubled, as in on one of the double letter squares. So I think I will go with whiz, 30 points. Not good, just the one vowel. And the rest of the rack pretty unpromising. D and G don't go well together. So I'm going to struggle to score and leave a good rack leave. Probably not quite bad enough to change, but it may be depending on what opportunities are available. Whiz takes an S in front and nothing after it. I do have an O for going underneath the Z, should that remain available. So what's the best I can do there? Possibly just dog. Keeping 4 consonants, which is not ideal. The trouble with keeping 4 consonants is that you're running a fairly high risk of having no or one vowel in the following rack, which is the situation I'm currently faced, and you can end up having a succession of moves, low scoring moves, with racks with only one vowel. So that would be an argument in favour of changing. Should a floating E become available, I would have logged. That would certainly sort the rack out. £28 points for my opponent. Now, he's provided I and N for an ing word. So I could play lodging, which would certainly sort the rack out, but for very little score. An alternative would be to play in row J, both woe and in take a G. I don't think I've got any double G plays. So maybe the best I can do here is dog for 20 points. And lodging, 9 fewer points, but a much better rack leave. Now I'm just wondering if a P can go in front of lodging. If it can, then I think this is the play. Great, it could. So, having played off all those consonants at the expense of score, I do now have only one vowel, so that's not worked out how I hoped, and I've also got the Q. So this is, I think, an easier rack to deal with. I think it's far more likely that I will be changing. Nowhere on the board at the moment for the Q. Should a U become available, I would have quell, but I'm not seeing anything else. So would a play of molten be better than changing? 16 points, keeping the Q. Well, I think the Q is worth maybe minus 9 points. I think I used to think it was a little bit higher than that at minus 13, but I think the introduction of QI into the Scrabble word list means that the Q is now valued at only minus 9. Which would suggest that molten is slightly better than changing. But if it's within 5 points of the value of the Q, 5 or 6 points, I'm inclined to take that hit and get rid of the Q. Opponent taking a while on both of his opening moves. Okay, great, just 6 points. That suggests to me he's very close to a bingo. He's opened up a new bingo lane in row K, and I'm going to take this opportunity to change. And I'll keep ENT. Well, that looks a bit better. Onto an E, I would have creton. I can't see a 7 with this rack. There could be one. So what about the floaters? Nothing with the P or the L. I've got the con prefix. Not seeing anything there. Through a U, I would have nocturne. And if my opponent bingoes in row K, he may be providing additional floaters. Can't see anything with the D. So a rack which looks close to a bingo, but I'm not seeing a bingo on this board. Now I've got the non-prefix, so through an E, I would have non-erect, which would be an anagram of creton. It's possible that one or both of those is not good. So if I don't have a bingo, what can I do? Well, the C is my scoring tile. Well, I have coronet. Great, as a double-double in row E. So I think that would be my play if I don't have a bingo. But if my opponent bingos through either of L, O, or D, they're likely to be blocking that spot. Opponent already used up nearly 5 minutes of his time. Be interesting to see what rack he is struggling with. Score's still very low, 44 to 34. Wow, and another very low score, creating a new bingo lane in column 4. Do I really not have a bingo here? Well, now through an R, and there is an R, I think I would have corn rent, although it's possible that that word has been removed from the lexicon. So, coronet for 36. Not great, but not terrible either. It's non-bingo-y, but I've got scoring tiles and vowels to go with them, and that pretty much guarantees me a 20 to 30 point score. And hopefully in the 30s, my H can go underneath the E of coronet, as well as the O. So I could play ham, keeping bean. That would be quite nice. It's possible there's a bingo with this rack. There's the floating T, but I can't see one. What about the P? Can't see anything with that either. Opponent takes my H spot. And I can't really use the O to good effect with a play in row F because of the C. I can't see a play in column 6, placing 2 of my scoring tiles on the triple letter squares. I think hambone is the best I can see, but that's not good. Nothing great goes on triple letter squares, and it opens up row A. So I could play ham in row D. Only 25 points, but a decent rack leave. However, I know my opponent appears to be nursing a bingo-y rack, so ham is presenting him with an easy opportunity to stick an E on the end. So that doesn't feel great. Now, what about a play in row F ending HM? What about just HM? Well, that's keeping duplicate A, so that's not great. But let me see what it scores. 30 points. The duplicate A worth about 5, so that's really a 25-point play. What about a play in row K? Well, none of my scoring tiles goes underneath BE, so that's not looking particularly productive. What about a play in column 4, hooking RE? and 5 letters long. Not seeing anything. So what about playing Haim rather than Ham? I think the E is too useful, especially with column 4. Can I play off the B rather than the M? What about a play beginning or using the P? Not seeing anything. Well, this does not feel great. I think I'll go with HM because that provides my opponent with nothing, and this is pretty much equivalent to the Ham score for 25. So HM for 30. Okay, that's fine. I've got the X for score. The pickup of G and X, not particularly great, but the X is the more unbingo-y tile. 21 points for my opponent, which is good. He's still not bingoing, so although I'm struggling with racks, I do have a small lead. Now, I'm going to struggle to play off the X with any of my consonants. And I don't really want to provide my opponent with an easy way of scoring off my X. And I may not be able to reconcile those two goals. I thought I had Panax for a moment, and I do, but it doesn't get doubled. I think this is quite nice. Annex for 40 points. It's a good score. Rack leave is just about okay. If opponent plays in column 2, he'll be opening up column 1. I'm going with this. Another very non-bingo-y rack, but an okay rack in terms of scoring. I've got scoring tiles and I've got vowels. I've got no duplicates. And all of my high scoring tiles can go next to this E. And my Y and G can go underneath B, E, but I don't have an E for going underneath the R. My opponent may be reluctant to take this spot next to the E unless he's got a bingo. I've got Gasify on my rack, but that burns the S and is not a bingo. Wow, nice score for my opponent. My spot remains available. So what do I have down here? Well, I could do this. Basify for 47, which is a decent score. And although it is providing scoring potential in column 1, the score is good and it sorts the rack out. It clears out a lot of pretty non-bingo-y tiles from the rack. And there are still 2 blanks to come. So I'm going with this. Basify for 47. I'm back to having 6 consonants. But that is better than having 7. And the Y is a quasi-vowel as well. So I should be able to play through this. Now, I'm expecting my opponent to play in column 1, taking advantage of the axe hook. If he doesn't, I almost certainly will. I've got pad in that spot. So, parking that, what am I going to do if that's taken? Well, do I have a play at the bottom of column 1 with the Y? Probably not. I don't have any consonants which can go next to the Y. So a 5-letter play beginning with A, I don't think I have on my rack. Great, only 31 points. That could have been worse. And I still have do have a 40-point lead. Board tightening up quite a bit. I think it's just the hook for Jur and the S available for bingos. I still don't have an E for going underneath the R. So what about a play through the A of Annex, hooking ICH? Not seeing anything. Now, what I do have is Gapey. I have Gapey. 27 points, decent score. An okay rack lead. Look at all these E's to come. Oh, an A and an E would certainly help this rack lead. 27 points is a good score. It's not providing masses of opportunity for my opponent. So, I'm going with this. Great, that looks a lot better. I have remodel, modeler. I have seldomer beginning with the S of quits. And I think that's the only bingo which goes. Boner doesn't take anything after it. And Jur, well, it does take an E, but my bingos are modeler and remodel as 7s, and neither of those goes. So quite a critical point in the game. Am I going to get seldomer down? Do I have anything through the Y? I don't think so. I'm just wondering if ZA takes anything after it, which G can play through. Okay, I'll consider that another time. 32 points for novel. Do I have a bingo beginning with L or E? No. So, I think seldomer it is. Seldomer for 62. Ouch, not good. Okay, better take that back then. That's a shame. I was fairly confident about that. Seldom certainly good. I thought it compared. It doesn't. So I don't have an alternative bingo. V takes nothing after it. Now my M can go above the Y. So I probably have got quite a nice play, 3-letter play. Dom. 35 points, which is a good score. I'm slightly in danger of a surfeit of E's. But the E is the easiest tile to deal with multiple instances of. So I'm going with Dom. Well, I don't draw E's, but I do draw I's, and I'm now slightly vowel heavy. And that may be the pattern through the remainder of the game, given how consonant heavy I was. Let me check the remaining vowels. 16 out of 33, so it's pretty much half and half. But with a slight preponderance of vowels on my rack. Now, these are bingo-y tiles. The rack as a whole doesn't look bingo-y because of the duplicates. And bingos with duplicates can be hard to spot. Floating L and E, triplicate tiles on my rack, or triplicate the E, so I can't see a bingo beginning with either of those. So what about a bingo beginning with S, or S in second place? Not seeing anything. Great, opponent still not scoring. I've been quite fortunate. My racks have all been non-bingo. We still haven't got a single bingo on the board. It does happen sometimes. However, still 24 tiles to come and 2 blanks, and these remaining tiles look pretty bingo-y. We've basically been trawling our way through all the non-bingo-y stuff, but there's plenty of good stuff still to come. Now, I don't have any scoring tiles, so I'm looking around at the scoring tiles on the board to see if I can do anything with them. And I can't. Now, I could just play REI, 12 points, but quite a good rack leave. Sort of. I'm taking out the S floater, which I guess I want to do since I'm ahead. REI does take a few tiles underneath it, but any bingo in row M would be face value. Now, I think I've seen something better. Late trial for 27. That just feels better. It's 15 more points. Lita, although it was quite a good rack lead, was all 1-pointers on a non-bingo-y board. I am now creating a bingo lane, but I'm also giving myself 6 shots at picking one of the blanks. Late trial for 27. I miss the blanks. My K can go above the I, so I've got eek, spelt either way. Opponent takes that spot. However, I'm 50 points ahead, so I did get a decent score for late trial. And I have got a couple of scoring tiles. But the plays from this rack, from the rack alone, Kiev and Kyiv, they don't play anywhere. I could just play G, 14 points, keeping K and V for score. Doesn't feel great. I don't have anything to hook jur or date. Nothing goes in front of my or after Gapey. Wow, this is a tricky rack to deal with. I was thinking about playing double E, VE, but I think that just provides too much for my opponent. Wow, only 6 minutes on my clock. So I can't tarry. I'm just wondering if I ought to change. Slightly reluctant to. I think G is better than changing. 14 points. From a D, I would have dove keys. Am I going to regret that? Opponent now has access for a 7-letter bingo, which gets doubled. I'm not going to be able to come back with a bingo because I kept a K and a V. Maybe I should have changed. Only one E to come. So the remaining tiles are looking slightly less bingo-y, but still pretty bingo-y. My V can go in front of double E, so if my opponent doesn't bingo, I might try and shut down what I've opened. Great, he only gets 11 points, and that really strongly suggests he's close to a bingo. So I have Evoke on my rack. That doesn't play. I'm just wondering about a play which uses the A to try and increase score. AE. I could play VAE. Only 11 points. I just can't see anything great beginning with the V. If I played VOE, I'd be generating scoring spots. Only 5 minutes on my clock. This is a pretty agonizing sort of position to be in. Well, I was thinking about playing Vise. Yes, not massively useful. 19 points, a decent score. Keeping the K for score. Taking out a 7-letter lane. Only providing an I as a floater and an E in second place. Doesn't feel great. 4 minutes on my clock. So what about using my S to hook Jua? I think I prefer Vise. Tricky situation to be in. I'm going with Vise. I don't like it, but I'm going with it. 19 points. I do draw a blank. U and W and K not great together, but scoring tiles, no duplicates. I've been fairly lucky with duplicates in this game, I think. Just holding my breath. My opponent played off one tile. There are bingo lanes on this board. Down from Jua through the I and D of Vise. And I think that's it. I don't see a bingo with this rack. And very few scoring spots. Another single point play. Interesting. And it makes it very, very difficult for me to play because I get the feeling that my opponent is incredibly close to a bingo. And it's hard to see scoring spots which don't open up bingo lanes. Just looking for something through this eye. Something good. Not seeing anything. Just so hard not to generate something for my opponent. And I burnt my S, so I've no longer got the Jaws spot. Only 3 minutes on my clock. I feel I should be playing through this I. But I just can't see a play which goes there. Just absolutely nothing coming to mind. Gosh. Now, what I could do is this. I can play Vow. It forces the S to be in the middle of a bingo. And if my opponent doesn't have a bingo, this spot above the O is really useful for my K. And there are no other scoring tiles which can go above that. And this Vow is interrupting the floating I, as well as interrupting column 12. So what about playing Vrow instead? 22 points. It gets rid of the U and the W. I'm going with this because although it is providing a 7-letter lane ending in S, any bingo in column 14 would open up column 15, and I think this is going to put me about 90 points ahead, so I think I can survive a bingo. And I'm short on time, so I need to get to the end of the game. Vrow for 22. I have, well, I was going to say flasked, but I don't think that's good. It's not. So I've only got 1 minute. I'm going to look for bingos and stop when my opponent plays. He's got 8 minutes. Hopefully he uses them. Not seen anything yet. That was the flasked rack. Still nothing. I think desk fast is good through an S. Okay, so I don't have a bingo. But this is a pretty good scoring rack. If my opponent does bingo in column 14, I should be able to get some action from the K and the F. So supposing he doesn't, what do? I guess play down from Vrou, S something coming down. SK using the F as well. Well, I could play SKYF. Over 30 points, that might get the job done. It certainly would provide no bingo lanes. Although I guess the O of Vrou would remain available. So what about a play in row L? I've got nothing which goes underneath the U. Have I missed a bingo with this rack? Well, not that I can see. I'm not going through the alphabet again. Well, not by clicking. I'm sort of am in my mind going through the alphabet. But I'm not seeing anything. Yep, that's got to the end of that. Now there's a floating E available in second place. Does that help me close to Keftides? If my A was an E, I would have that. No, not seeing anything through that E. That would be another reason for playing Scythe. 4 tiles in the bag. 6 minutes on my opponent's clock. He must be close to a bingo. He spent so long playing off just single tiles. He must be close. But maybe he's just been really unlucky in his pickups, and the board has not been bingo friendly in terms of bingo lanes and floaters. Which is fine since I've been ahead. I'm 92 points in front. An opponent on the brink of bingoing, I think. I do like Vrou. U and W, not particularly useful floaters. And it really puts more pressure on my opponent. With only 4 tiles on the bag, he can't carry on playing off 1 tile for very much longer. Now my S can go underneath the U. So maybe I do have a play here. Not that I can see. I was looking for a 3-letter play which doesn't take a hook. And well, I guess I could play used using the blank as a U. Only 18 points, burning the blank, keeping the K and the F. Pretty much killing the board. Opponent creates no new bingo lanes. I've only got 1 minute on my clock. I'm going to revert to plan A. Scythe for 32. Does that get the job done? 370, it must do. So this is my opponent's rack, ACILNOT. Does he have a bingo? He's got the U to play through. And the O, he's got location, I think. But that doesn't fit. What about through the U? Well, I'm not seeing a bingo, but there could be one there. So I've got 1 minute on my clock. If my opponent doesn't bingo, I need to play. So do I have an out? I can play date. I've got idiot on my rack, but that doesn't play anywhere. I was going to say I have sedate, which I do, but that doesn't play in row G. Scythe takes an S, so I could play T's. I could play T's. Is there really nothing through the O or the U? I think Deodate is good. Yeah, I have Deodate in column 11, so I do have an out. Opponent's got 3 minutes on his clock. Do I have anything onto the W? It would have to end in the W because the K takes nothing in front of it. Can't see anything. Now, GER takes an E. So do I have any ED plays? or ER or ES? Don't think so. What else does GER take? M. That's no good. N. That's no good. And when I'm saying no good, I'm comparing the tile with having a DRS next to it. T. TR. Nope, don't have a play. Okay, that's exhausted that. I have educate through the U. Great. So I have deodate through the O, educate through the U, and I have T's in row O, all of which could be blocked. Except my opponent doesn't have an O. So the best he can do would be a play down column 15 in terms of utilising this triple word square. Seated and sedate, teased, TADs are the anagrams with the S. Are there any other lanes I've overlooked? Anything created by my opponent up? I don't think so. Date takes nothing in front of it. 1 minute on my opponent's clock. This doer struggle is drawing to a close. Do I have anything in column 15? Quite tricky with 3 consecutive consonants. So I don't see anything there. Educate would be my preferred play because it scores the most and I go out. Actually, it may not score the most. Maybe tease does better. Now, do I have a play in row O which gets the D doubled? Or indeed uses the D? At the moment, I've just got T's, which retains the D. Not seeing anything. Opponent into his last minute of the game. Desperate stuff. He's got such a nice rack, but it doesn't look like there's a bingo. Okay, he blocks both of my bingos. So I have T's across here for 25. I haven't looked to see that I've got 2 spots for the D, but I have DOP. And I have DI, so I'm not going to be stuck with the D. Just wondering if my opponent had created any new lanes for a 6-letter play, and I don't think he had. My H could go next. My blank could become an H, but that doesn't really help. And that's the end of the game. And the final score. 288 to my opponent, 398 to me, a winning margin of 110 points, so a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. It was me to go first. I played Whiz, I still like that. Opponent's rack, plays Boner. I now play Plodging for 14, and I prefer that. Glop, 9 more points, but DGT just doesn't feel like a great rack. There are bingos with DGT in them, but it's dependent on a decent pickup, and if you don't have a bingo, you're going to struggle a bit. So I play Plodging. Opponent's rack. He has a few bingos, Penuries, Uridines, and Resupine. Misses all of them, plays BE. So, what did he play BE from? Yeah, Keeping Insure. That's quite a nice rack leave. My rack, I change. I could have got 18 keeping the queue. Maybe worth doing. But I'm still quite happy with changing. Opponent's rack. He's got a few bingos again. Doesn't spot them. Plays RE. I now have Coronet for 36. Opponent no bingo this go. Drawn the second U. Plays Jura. Blocking my ham spot. Hamber, that's nice. What do? I play HM for 30 points, and that's okay. No bingo for my opponent, and this is an agonising position for him. He's got bingo tiles, all one-pointers, but he doesn't have a bingo, so what's his choice? Play off a couple of tiles for a really low score, or try and score a bit more, but break the rack up. It's not a nice place to be. He plays Noir. I have Annex for 40. Opponent has the Q, but he's got the U to go with it. Plays Quits. I play Basify for 47. I could have played Fab, making it easier to score in column 1. And not a good rack lead with Y and G. Basify burning the S, so I still like Basify. But it's not clearly best. Opponent plays Tad. D10, Party. Wow, that's nice. Burning off 5 tiles. I think I did Gapey here. Not quite as good. Opponent's rack, he plays Novel. And I'm leading by 40 points right now. I try Seldomer, not good. No bingo here. Fortunately, it's Void Challenge, so I get to play again. And I play Dom for 35. But where's Plerome? C8. Oh, wow, look at that. All the way across the top of Gapey. Very nice. Opponent's rack, and his rack is becoming less bingo-y. He plays HA. I play Late Trial for 27. Opponent has Adji. Now I have a troublesome rack, but I have a 50-point lead. Look at that, nothing over the 20s. I played G for 14. Doesn't feel great. So where's Teak? K4. Oh yeah, I think that's a better play. Now, horrible rack for my opponent. That is seriously deteriorating. He plays QI. Gosh, I completely overlooked this spot. I could have had 28 points for Reek. Instead I do Vise, burning the S for 9 fewer points, so that's not great. Opponent plays IO. And now, this was a rack I struggled with because I thought my opponent was closer to a bingo than he was. And I play Vrow in the end, which I like. No bingo for my opponent. He plays up. No bingo for me. And I play Skype. It doesn't appear here, but I like it. I think it guarantees a win. No bingo for my opponent. He plays Count. Now K13. Ah, very nice. In between Skype and Count, were for 26. I do T's for 25, which is actually a better play, taking into account Count back. And opponent goes out. So quite a grim game. I thought my opponent was on the brink of bingoing, and I was expecting him to bingo, take a small lead, or at least catch up. That never happened. This is a game with no bingos at all, not one, and it's dragged on for 44 minutes. So pretty grim stuff, and I think it's possibly the only game I played in this video series with absolutely no bingos. So I guess it had to happen at some point, and it's happened after 680 odd games. Anyways, even without bingos, there were still plenty of interesting racks to consider. So I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.